So I want to just introduce you to somebody who probably doesn't need a whole lot of introduction, Daria Halprin. She is a leading pioneer in the field of movement, dance, and expressive art education and therapy. She is also a co-founder of the Tamalpa Institute. And I found this quote, I was watching some videos beforehand, and I found this quote that really connected to what I feel. And it is what she said to her students. I'm reminded of movement, dance as the mother who births these other arts and also who births these life art metaphors for us. So thank you, Daria.
Thank you. All right. So I'd like to welcome all of you, and I'm very aware as we gather in this embodiment conference with teachers from all over the world and students and curious seekers that we are facing an unusually challenging time, surrounded by an extraordinary level of anxiety, stress, uncertainty, social trauma. And I want to honor that in relationship to what I have to offer all of you, a taste of possibilities, and to share some of my notions about embodiment. And it also seems particularly relevant and touching to gather together at this moment. We're just a few weeks out of the election here in the United States, which all of us in one way or the other, no matter what our stand, feel like it is probably the most important presidential election we've had in decades, if ever. And aware that from those of you from all over the world are affected as well, and this sense of being one body. And so I'm really touched that that this embodiment conference makes it possible for all of us to be here together. Free access, open access. It just feels like a beautiful symbol and metaphor. These times are also reminding me that more than ever, it feels imperative for all of us to stay resilient and to keep our creativity alive and to find very real practical ways to do that. So I want to consider a different way of thinking about embodiment within the context of my work. Leonard Cohen said, "Forget your perfect offerings. There are cracks in everything. That's how the light gets in." So let's think about embodiment from that point of view, that we don't need to have achieved a state of perfect balance. We don't even have to have achieved a sense of perfect wholeness or healing. Embodiment is a moving and changing process of becoming. It's a verb. Becoming more aware, becoming more present, more connected with our internal and external environment, becoming more expressive with whatever's alive, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable, blocked or free, painful or joyful. More aware, more present, more connected, more expressive on the physical level, and also on the emotional and mental level. Dance and the expressive arts offer a very powerful path for such an exploration of embodiment. Embodiment isn't a fixed state, it's in constant motion and flux as we meet the challenge to realign ourselves in relationship to our internal and external influences, adapting and adjusting to the constant pull of gravity, resisting and letting go, finding balance and losing balance, and rebounding, shifting between inner awareness and outer expression. So as we learn how to dance with all these different forces, we grow our ability to become less reactive and more responsive. The Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. I'll add here that that space that he speaks of reminds me of the breath, that empty moment between each exhale and each inhale. And in that kind of space, he goes on to say, is our power to choose our response. And in our response is our growth and our freedom. And when that happens, when we can move from reacting to responding, there's a feeling of being at home within oneself and one's body and in the collective body with others. That's embodiment. So I'd like to speak a little bit about the body in my practice. I think of the body through the lens of three metaphors: body as instrument, body as home, body as art medium. So I'm going to unpack each of those metaphors just a little bit to stimulate your curiosity. Body as our instrument. The physical body needs somatic movement tuning so that we actually feel connected physically, so that we go beyond just having the body into actually feeling our body. And of course, our body is not just a physical experience, it's also an emotional and mental experience. So when we're really connected and feeling our body, we'll also have the capacity and the open doorway to feel our feelings. To use our imagination. To be creative with our history and our memories. Just as a musician tunes her instrument, the body needs tuning so that we can play whatever life's music calls for. And I'd also like to suggest that there is a real value in educating ourselves about the biodynamics of the body. And I say that realizing that in this conference, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to really educate yourself on the biodynamics of the body. How does this incredible instrument work? What an amazing piece of architecture we've been given. So the biodynamics of the body have to do with our anatomy, kinesiology, kinesthetics, neuroscience, and educating ourselves on this beautiful instrument is a way of supporting any healing process. It also expands our capacity to be aware of what's happening in the body, our own sensation. It helps us increase our range of motion. And of course, it increases our ability to feel and to creatively express ourselves. So educating ourselves on our own instrument. Body as home speaks to the powerful way in which our physical body stores all our life experiences, past, present, future. Your wonderful poem about dance really spoke to that. Well, so as we travel more deeply into felt connection with our bodies, all those experiences of our lives are activated, available, mobilized. With the right framework and guidance, this offers us resource material for insight, for deep listening, for more creative and mindful relationship with our life story. So embodiment has to do with being able to use our triggers in a healthy, educative, creative way. I'm particularly interested in the use of movement, dance, visual art, written and spoken narrative, and performance to explore body biography, connected to the individual, to the family, and to social and cultural narratives. So for me in my work, body biography is a cornerstone. One of my first teachers, founder of Gestalt, Fritz Perls, said the best form of projection is art. Movement is the body's art medium. It's a gateway into the rich multi-sensory language of emotion, imagination, story. Movement gives us the means to express, or as Pearls would say, actually to project into the dance, into the drawing, into the poem. The life themes, the challenges, the aspirations, the emotions, the wounds, the narratives that are alive and simmering, held, free-flowing, sometimes overflowing, that are in need of confrontation, enactment, release, and change. And this is really the beauty and the power and really the healing force of dance, that it allows us to dance what is. So I've developed a process as part of the practice that we call the Tamalpa Life art process. I've developed a process to open up this territory called body mapping. And here's just a few notes about body mapping. Each body part is like a chapter in the body's biography. Each part has its own distinct physiological function and vocabulary of movement. And the physiological function of each part and its movement repertoire, if you will, has resonances, finds resonances, evokes resonances in archetypal metaphors that connect to our emotions and life experiences. So I think of the body mapping process and each body part as a library of the body's physical, emotional, mental, imaginal resources. And those resources create a map that we can explore somatically, therapeutically, and artistically. So it's a big map. You could spend a whole lifetime exploring that map through body mapping. For those of you who are interested, I've written a book that articulates more fully about this body part mapping process and how you can use it. It's called The Expressive Body in Life, Art, and Therapy. We have a training program at Tamalpa Institute in which we take each body part one at a time and really immerse ourselves in the somatic study of it, in the movement metaphors, in the therapeutic material that is evoked, and in the art of art making and dance and visual art and poetry. I hope to give you just a little bit of a taste of that next. So let's take a short pause. You ready to get up and stand away from your screens, and I'll lead you through an experience that gives a taster of some of the things I've indicated. All right, let's stand up and move away from our screens. And I think you can probably hear me well enough that you can also turn away from the screen so that you can disappear into your own somatic feeling and creative experience. Can you all hear me okay? All right. So I'm going to step back too. I've been told that my voice still carries. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do just a brief somatic tuning. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to guide you through a series of prompts so that we can identify together some of the specific movement vocabulary of the body part that we're going to play with in the time that we have left. Shoulders, arms, and hands. So you'll have a chance to explore and feel into a particular movement repertoire. And then I'll give you some open time supported by some music to explore and improvise and see where the resources take you in terms of your emotional body, your imagination, your associations. Was that clear? what we're going to do next? Great. Thanks for the thumbs up. I like that. Okay. All right, so let's begin. You know, in so many embodiment practices, there's a lot of talk about grounding. It's such a nice idea, and it's so difficult to achieve. So on a physical level, let's take a moment to see if we can actually in our bodies feel a little bit grounded here and now. And there are some ways to do that in terms of the mechanics of the body. So I'm just going to give you some hints, what I call prompts. So first of all, stand with your feet and your legs shoulder distance apart. So that gives you a wide enough base. In standing, the legs and feet are responsible to really manage the whole weight of the body and to locomote through space. So let's get a solid base underneath us. You can look down at your feet and see if they're parallel so that they're not turned in or turned out. So parallel feet. And then just relax your knees slightly so that they're not locked. Any part of the body that you lock up, you're locking up the energy. So soft ankles, soft knees, those are the shock absorbers in the body, especially important when we go into movement. And then let's just create a little bounce. I'm going to call it a pulsing movement. So that it's as if we're sending the sensation of our full body weight down through our thighs, knees, calves, ankle, feet. Let the legs and the feet feel the weight of you and mobilize to hold you up. And you can bounce faster or slower with more or less force. Begin to listen into what kind of movement here your body would most like or most need. Let your breath go on the exhale. A couple of more seconds, just bouncing down and bouncing up a little bit. Feeling into the hip joints, the pelvic girdle. Letting the shoulders and the arms bounce a little bit. I can't hear you breathing, but you can hear me breathing a little bit. So take a few moments to really make sure that the breath is bouncing and letting go. All right, and now let's just ease off and shift the weight left and right. Let each leg and feet have a moment of really taking on the weight of you. You can play with that in any way that feels interesting. And check for soft knees, soft ankles. And whenever you want to, you can pause in the center and just pulse again. I want to encourage you to let your head bob a little bit so that the cervical spine has a chance to experience a little fluid and flexibility, a little spinal fluid movement. And just sense how your muscles are mobilizing as you move. So keep moving for another moment and just appreciate how your muscles are mobilizing, waking up. If you want a big shake, take it. If you want a forceful pulse, take it. If you want gentle, shifting weight. All right, and standing centered. And just take a moment to sense your body. You might notice that your nerve endings are firing off a little bit now. Do a little mind's eye scan of your spinal column. Appreciate your vertebra, how your pelvis hangs off, your tailbone, how your head balances at the top of your spine. Take a moment to visualize your white bones, all the nerve endings connect in and send messages all through the body. All right. And now I'm going to begin to introduce you to shoulder, arm, and hand movement vocabulary, to call to your shoulders, arms, and hands with words that they are familiar with. So let's begin by just lifting the shoulders way up towards the ears. And just hold them up there. And drop them down. Okay, and just repeat that. Lift the shoulders up. Notice how the rest of the body responds or reacts, and drop them down. Just repeat it your own way, your own timing. Notice what comes up. And shoulders rotating forward, up, and back. Forward, up, and back. How does your lower body accommodate? What's the feeling of your shoulders rotating? How does your head respond? How do your legs and feet support? And just reverse the rotation. So that you're rotating in. And you can switch back and forth, again, really listening into whatever the movement brings up, sensations, feelings, images, rotating forward, up, and backwards, and then reversing it. As we rotate the shoulders, some tension might start getting released because we do so much holding in the shoulder girdle. So you might feel some heat, little ache. All right, and then just rotate one shoulder at a time in different directions and play with what comes up around that. Shoulders rotating in different directions. And now just take a minute to improvise and play a little bit with shoulders up and down and shoulders rotating in different directions. Notice any feelings, any associations. Let the shoulder dance be a channel for whatever the body wants to express. Okay, thank you. We're going to pause here to move a little quickly. We don't have that much time together. And I want to bring you arms and hands. So let's begin with a movement of push and pull. Just push and pull. Use your legs underneath you to support the push and the pull. You might place one foot out in the space in front of you. Okay, and hands, fists, fist dancing. So lead with your fists and let the whole body respond. So we've got a leader body part and a responsive body part. And switch to open palms. Let the open palms move in the space around you. Switch back and forth between closed fists and open palmed hands. Okay, reaching. Different directions. Different qualities of reaching. And embracing, holding. Okay, pause. So that's some of the movement vocabulary of the arms, shoulders, and hands. We just had like snapshots. If we had a day together, we would take a lot of time with each one. But now what I'd like to do is to support you with some music and give you an opportunity of about 5 minutes to explore those movements in any way that feel compelling to you, paying attention to the kinds of feelings and images and associations that come up for you, adding your own shoulders, arms, and hands movement to it. And so please feel free to explore and improvise with the resources of shoulders, arms, and hands. Find the dance for yourself. Take one more minute to keep your movement going and find one cycle of movement to dance the crack that is alive in your life currently, and to dance the light that you would like to bring into your life. Use your imagination to make it as specific as possible. Find a movement, a shoulders, arms, and hand movement to dance the crack and to dance the light that you need to bring in. Okay, transition to poetry or to drawing. Choose your art medium. Let me know if you can hear my words through the soft music. Okay, thank you. Little less than 10 minutes for shaping a poem or a drawing. Okay. Laura, I think probably the logistics of putting people into breakout rooms to share is too much given how many people we have here.
It
Am I
is.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But I do want to offer that we do have coffee break rooms from the main session you can find if you look under community. Maybe Steve can put something about that in the chat. I also just want to know, Daria, if you want to answer a few questions. I know there is one question that has been popping up regularly, and that is about the music and whose music it is.
Yeah. That music was made for me, so it was a gift from some musicians. It's called Snake Trains.
Thank you.
So maybe you can track it down somehow. I've never been able to. It was gifted to me. Yeah. So if you don't find your way into a coffee break room to share your drawing or poetry with someone who has been part of the conference, or even better, part of this little taster, I'd like to encourage you to share it with somebody who you trust and who would be a good witness for you. Art is to be shared. So be sure to find an opportunity for that. Yeah, so that was a brief encounter with body part mapping. I want to say again that I've developed the research of this particular practice for many decades at Tamalpa Institute. We have a website that is itself a library of work and of different ways to think about and experience embodiment through movement in the arts. So I would invite you all to visit Tamalpa Institute website, and I'm curious if there are any other questions. I am having a hard time following the chat room because they're coming in so quickly.
It seems like everyone's just really grateful and has loved it.
Lovely.
Somebody, Kayla created a lovely mandala piece to reflect on this dance. Thank you. There have been lots of just huge appreciation surrounding myself and my world and the universe. Sparks of soft, colorful light filling the dark spaces and cracks. Alive and life-filling, love-making, peace-giving, and the birds sing, the sky bursts forth with rain clouds, all is well, and I smile. Thank you, Gail O'Hara. So yeah, I think that you have landed in a really wonderful spot for all of us. So I just want to take one little minute here, and I'm going to come back and ask you for your final golden nugget sentence of what embodiment means. It can be something you already said. And just to encourage everyone to, if you haven't considered buying the package of the full conference, please do now so you have this at your fingertips for all time. We are hoping to be able to give back a little bit to the community who's brought it together. So that would be super helpful from you. I also want to let everyone know that Dancing Conflicts, Unfolding Peace by Paula Ditzel-Facci is next. So having said all that, I am coming back to you, Daria.
Okay, I'm just furiously trying to answer some of the questions with all kinds of typos, but there you go.
What is your golden nugget of embodiment wisdom?
Okay. Well, therapy. Well, I think that within the context of my work, I want to say again that, you know, embodiment is such a big word, and there are so many rich practices in different ways that people are going about understanding and exploring what embodiment practices can look like. I think that this conference is just offering an amazing array of different ways of understanding embodiment. For me, and within the context of my work, I want to encourage this possibility of thinking about embodiment through the arts as a way to work with and become creative with whatever you're actually experiencing, so that we don't make embodiment dependent on a feel-good outcome. What if we think of embodiment as the possibility of a creative outcome? And it occurs to me that creativity, I think Jack Kerouac said, don't wait for creativity to happen. Pick up your club and go hunt it down.
Nice one.
And so, for me, what I have been always fascinated by, perhaps inspired by my own struggle with embodiment and with finding some way to connect my life as an artist with my life as a teacher and as a therapist and as a human being trying to make sense of herself and the world around her, is that the arts and dance give us an opportunity to work in embodied ways with all kinds of gritty material. And that's what interests me, if I'm honest, is working with the grit of life, which I feel has the possibility of turning us into pearls. But we're not going to get there if we don't let the grit and the sand work on us. So those are my, I don't know about pearls of wisdom, but that's my inclination, that's my interest. And the body is such a beautiful instrument. It's exciting to learn how to play it in all kinds of ways.
People are asking if you have some workshops happening now, if in this new normal you are teaching.
Well, right now I'm training two international training groups. So right now I'm training 46 people online, which is really remarkable. Because I just felt that this practice can't possibly take place outside of a studio where people can really be together and touch each other. And I was wrong, And again, it reminds me to remind all of us that ultimately our studio is right here in our own bodies. And the times are really challenging us to make new realities for ourselves and to let go of our attachment to, the way we have depended on things. So Tamalpa Institute, www.tamalpa.org. Sign on for the email list. We have an amazing, I work with an amazing group of people who've been trained at Tamalpa Institute in our work and have become really master teachers and artists in their own right. And they're offering all kinds of online classes. So I really encourage you to take a look at those classes. They're really supportive, really resiliency building. And I'll be teaching in the public domain again in the new year. Once I've gotten these two intensive training programs really launched. So thank you for asking.
Just one question, do you think that, I imagine the public domain would be on Zoom, so people all over the world would be able to take your classes?
Oh yeah, we live on Zoom now with our work. Now our new studio is this, which is, the blessing in it, the light in the crack is that all kinds of people can join together who wouldn't normally be able to.
Yeah.
As we are here. So.
I'm just looking through the chat to see if there's anything else. The studios are in our bodies, yes, but we also need each other, community connection. Thanks for being here on my screen. I am ready for collaboration around the globe, yes. And I do want to add that is what this Embodiment Conference offers, is this sense of connection to people all over. And and like-minded embodiment, thriving geeks like the rest of us. So it has been so wonderful to have you here. We are graced by your presence. And everybody else in the room. It's wonderful to have you all here. The energy was certainly felt.
I wish I could see you all, but what I'm doing is I'm imagining you all. And I see a lot of Tamalpa trained people here, so that's lovely for me as well. We have branches in Europe. For those of you who are interested, I know there are a lot of Europeans who participate in this conference. We have a branch in the UK, a branch in France, a branch in Germany, and we have a branch in South Korea, where we offer our training program and workshops in our work.
Oh, wonderful. Looking forward to the time when we can all travel to South Korea to take your classes. Or anywhere else.
Or to our studio here in California.
Yeah, to our own little bodies right here. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Brooke, for that.
Stay safe, take care, keep dancing.